It's not every day Hollywood royalty gets told, "You're not on the list," but when that royal is Meghan Markle, and the door she's knocking on belongs to Kris Jenner. The fallout isn't just awkward, it's explosive. One moment she's pulling up to one of the most tightly guarded mansions in celebrity history, the next she's facing a wall of security that sends her right back down the driveway. No call, no invite, no green light, just a cold reminder that in this town, past titles don't buy present access. And the whispers, they started before her car even hit the main road. Because this wasn't just a social misstep, it was a signal, loud, clear, and impossible to ignore, that Meghan's Hollywood game might be running out of moves. Picture this, a sleek, black SUV slowing to a stop at the gates of Kris Jenner's sprawling Hidden Hills fortress. Cameras aren't rolling, but the air feels like a scene straight out of a reality show. Only this time, Meghan Markle isn't holding the script. She's here on what insiders are calling a friendly drop-by, the kind of casual visit you pull with an old friend, except there's one problem. They're not old friends, and in Kris Jenner's world, casual doesn't exist. The security team checks the list. Her name's not there, not on page 1, not buried at the bottom, not anywhere, and in this part of town, that's all that matters. Fame might get you a magazine cover, but it doesn't get you through Kris Jenner's front gate without clearance. What happened next wasn't subtle. The SUV idled for a beat, maybe long enough for Meghan to realize this wasn't going her way. Then, with zero ceremony, the gates stayed shut and the car turned around. No photo op, no warm hug, no glimpse of the Kardashian-Jenner inner sanctum, just a silent, very public message: you're not part of this circle. But in Hollywood, moments like this aren't just awkward, they're loaded. And for Meghan, this wasn't the first time a door didn't open, but it might be the most telling. If you think Kris Jenner built a billion-dollar empire by letting just anyone stroll up her driveway, think again. Every handshake, every dinner guest, every casual photo, it's all calculated. Kris doesn't deal in random encounters. She plays long-term strategy, and in her world, access is currency. You don't buy it with charm. You earn it with value. She's the gatekeeper of a brand that's weathered scandals, breakups, and tabloid storms without ever losing control. And control is the key word here. When you manage the most famous family in the world, every new face in your circle is a potential asset or a potential risk. One misstep, one wrong alliance, and the empire takes a hit. So when Meghan's SUV rolled up without warning, Kris wasn't just blocking a visitor, she was protecting the machine she's spent decades perfecting. This wasn't personal, it was business. The kind of business where every move is a chess piece, and showing up uninvited is the equivalent of tipping over the board before the game even starts. For Kris, the answer was simple. If you're not on the list, you're not getting in. No matter how many magazine covers you've had, or how royal your wedding was. Because in Kris Jenner's world, the only crown that matters is the one she put on herself, and she's not sharing it with anyone who hasn't earned their place. Since walking away from royal life, Meghan's been on a mission, but it's a mission without a map. Activism, production deals, podcast launches, red carpet cameos, she's tried them all. And while each move grabbed headlines for a moment, none of them landed with the kind of staying power she seemed to be chasing. It's been one big swing after another, but the follow-through just isn't there. In the palace, every step was choreographed, every appearance elevated by the sheer weight of her title. But outside those gilded gates, Hollywood plays by different rules. You can't survive on prestige alone. Not here. You have to prove, over and over again, that you can create value in the moment. And lately, Meghan's been leaning more on the glow of her past than on building something solid for her future. That's what makes the Kris Jenner moment sting so much. It wasn't just a no at the gate, it was a mirror reflecting where she stands now. She's no longer the automatic yes at any table. The curiosity that once surrounded her has started to fade, replaced by a cautious skepticism. What does she actually bring? And in Hollywood, when people start asking that question, the clock starts ticking. Because relevance here isn't something you hold on to, it's something you have to earn again every single day. Meghan's public image isn't just complicated, it's conflicting. On one hand, she positions herself as a humanitarian voice, speaking on mental health, equality, and global causes. On the other, she's sliding into Hollywood's social slipstream, tagging Kardashians, cozying up to influencers, and appearing in circles that run on status over substance. Individually, either identity could work. Together, they clash like oil and water. One says serious changemaker, the other says celebrity insider. And when the two keep overlapping without a clear strategy, it starts to feel less like range and more like confusion. In Hollywood, branding isn't just about what you say, it's about what you repeat until nobody questions it. Consistency builds trust. Predictability, in this case, is power. But Meghan's moves feel scattered. A political hint here, a reality-adjacent Instagram post there. The through line isn't clear, and without that clarity, the audience and the industry start losing interest. That's the danger of mixed signals. They don't just blur your message, they erode it. And right now, Meghan's brand isn't projecting the control or focus that power players like Kris Jenner protect at all costs. Instead, it's reading as unpredictable, and in an image-driven town, unpredictability without payoff is just another reason to keep the gates closed. In Hollywood, rejection doesn't always make headlines, but it always makes the rounds. The moment Meghan's SUV turned away from Kris Jenner's gates, the story didn't stay at the driveway. It started trickling through text chains, lunch meetings, and late-night calls. Assistants whispered it to publicists. Publicists mentioned it to agents, and by the end of the week, the industry knew. This is how Hollywood works. The real power isn't in the Instagram posts or red carpet photos. It's in the quiet, unspoken consensus that decides who's in and who's out. And once the idea takes hold that you've been denied entry, literally or figuratively, it's hard to shake. For Meghan, this wasn't about one security guard following orders. It was about what the moment represented, that the golden pass she once carried no longer opens the most coveted doors. The curiosity that fueled her early Hollywood reception has been replaced with something colder: hesitation. Executives don't want unpredictable headlines. PR teams don't want to manage constant spin, and A-listers don't want to risk their own brand by aligning with someone whose public narrative feels unstable. In a business built on alliances, that kind of reputation isn't just a setback, it's a warning sign. And the people who make the big moves in this town know better than to ignore it. For Harry, the move to California was supposed to be liberation, a chance to step out of the palace shadow, control his own story, and build a life on his terms. But lately, his story isn't being written by him, it's being dragged along in the wake of Meghan's headlines. Every time she makes a risky play, his name follows. Every viral moment with her at the center comes with a side order of, and where was Harry? It's as if the man who once made global news for breaking royal tradition has been reduced to a supporting character in someone else's unpredictable script. Friends who celebrated the couple's independence now whisper concerns in private. They see a man caught between loyalty and exhaustion, someone watching the life he envisioned morph into something chaotic and draining. The long-term image risk is obvious. Harry, the former prince, is now being defined by the fallout of decisions he may not even be making. And in a town obsessed with optics, perception is reality. If Hollywood starts to see him as part of a package deal that brings more trouble than value, the opportunities won't just slow down, they'll vanish. Which means every headline Meghan generates isn't just her gamble, it's his too. The Kris Jenner incident might seem like a single awkward afternoon, but in Hollywood, moments like this are rarely isolated. They become shorthand, a story told in 3 words: she got turned away. And once that narrative sticks, it starts attaching itself to other situations, other people, other doors that quietly stop opening. Rejection here isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the meeting that never gets scheduled, the email that goes unanswered, the dinner where your seat suddenly isn't available. It's the silence that says more than any headline could. And for Meghan, that silence is starting to spread. The danger isn't just bad press, it's irrelevance. In this town, even controversy can be leveraged into currency. But when the industry shifts from talking about you to simply moving on without you, that's when the game is truly lost. And right now, Meghan's walking that thin line. Hollywood doesn't run on sympathy, and it doesn't wait for anyone to get their footing. The people who thrive here understand that perception is a living, breathing thing, and once it turns against you, it's nearly impossible to reverse. The Kris Jenner gate moment wasn't just about one missed handshake, it was a signal that for Meghan, the clock is ticking louder than ever. For Meghan, this wasn't just a closed gate, it was a flashing red light. The strategy she's been running on, the clout by association, headline-chasing, status-hopping playbook, isn't working anymore. The moments meant to pull her forward are starting to push her back, and the people she's trying to impress aren't leaning in, they're stepping away. If she wants to survive in this city, she needs to stop borrowing other people's light and start building something that shines on its own. A project, a cause, a win that can't be spun into a meme or a PR blunder. Something real, something earned, because Hollywood isn't sentimental. It doesn't care what crown you once wore, or how big your wedding was, or how many headlines had your name. It only cares about what you're doing now, and whether that's worth letting through the door. Right now, Meghan's at a crossroads: rebuild from the ground up, or keep circling gates that stay shut. And as for Harry, the world's watching closely, wondering if he'll keep following her lead or find his own way out of the noise. In this town, the line between relevance and disappearance is razor thin, and once it's crossed, there's no grand announcement, just silence, the kind that means everyone's already moved on.